In today's episode we have a 2019 sci-fi role-playing action that's biggest claim to fame was radiating heavy "we have Mass Effect at home" energy. Well, I haven't played those games, so perhaps it works for this game's favor. But its reception doesn't promise a stellar experience. 48% positives on Steam and 43 average on Metacritic, which makes it that year's 5th worst reviewed. Beaten only by WWE 2K20, Dollhouse Left Alive, and our old acquaintance Eternity the Last Unicorn. So let's boldly go to where big kids have already gone before with Everreach, Project Eden.
The lead creatives include the director/designer/programmer Ed Tarsoli, whose all previous works have been similarly scored strategy games Meridian New World, Solar Shifter X and the former sequel Meridian Squad 22, and its writer is Michelle Clow, a member of narrative service Tailspinners who had prior to this only written the visual novel Perfect Date, and, funnily enough, did quality assurance for Mass Effect 3. Nothing else on the behind-the-scenes info front, so let's quickly establish the scenario. Humanity has traveled to the stars, found a new life-supporting planet named Eden with remnants of an ancient alien technology, so it's ripe for the folks at world's leading megacorporation Everreach Industries to start selling as a land for rich settlers. Full launch for that business, however, had to be postponed due to losing contact to one of the colonies, so they sent from their security division our lead Nora Hartwood, played by Mindy Owen, Jade Rockwell, played by Bill Stephenson, and Mike, played by DC Douglas.
Never mind. I can say at this point that at least the game looks good. A bit on the generic side, sure, and the character faces aren't the most versatile, but the graphics are smooth, vibrantly colored and shiny. Probably where most of the game's budget went.
Soon after we get the first glimpse of the game's combat system that is of third-person shooter variety and is mostly behind covers because trying to challenge anyone on open field will make your health deplete quite fast. At first it may seem stimulating enough time, but soon battles start to feel all the same due to a couple of factors. Firstly, the enemy types are limited to droids and human soldiers that tactics-wise act the same, and the tools for destroying them are limited to a pistol and an assault rifle. Yes, only 2 options for both. Usually at this point I would complain about the lack of a melee weapon, but that's not really needed because you can often align yourself behind a corner in a way that you can shoot them but they can shoot you, and they are not smart enough to realize when there's a wall between their intended target. You might as well give up on them knowing the concept of flanking or self-preservation, really.
One would think that there would be some sort of special skills to spice things up, but no. From the West skill tree you can only develop your armors and weapons as attributes like speed, energy points, hit points and so on. With the resources you can find, at least I don't remember getting any skill before finishing playing the game. So yeah, it's basically just crafting with a different name. And from the level ups themselves you can put skill points on strength, agility and intelligence that I guess make the frequency of game overs less frequent. Well, maybe the narrative aspects are less rudimentary then.
Almost immediately after the first combat encounters, Nora meets the security lead of another colony, Abigail Ross, played by Michelle Tabula, who informs that the human opponents they're fighting against are actually soldiers from the original colony who are causing interference to Eden's communications and have started to attack everyone else without any prior warning. And she has concluded corporate espionage to be the only logical explanation. Nora, as being the only one not tied to defenses, is tasked to find what is going on with the help of a repair bot 73Q, played by Abby Cluster, who fills in the comedy sidekick quota. Comedy in heavy quotation marks.
What kind of field support? I gather communications aren't working.
That is correct. Good job. You get a cookie.
This is explained with her personality chip being wrongly installed, but As I've said before, just because you point out that your character's jokes suck doesn't hide the fact that your character's jokes suck.
The core cast is rounded by journalist Julian Morgan, played by John Bailey of Honest Trailers fame, oddly enough. He and the rest of the actors do reservedly realistic performances that are too toned down to my taste, so the writing has to do some heavy lifting. The plot has too much dead air to be fully riveting, but the dialogue is kind of charming in its quaint sincerity. Sure, the story isn't the most original stuff out there, but the writing doesn't apologize about it. The comedy/drama balance is alright, and the characters have the minimum number of traits that I care what happens to them in the end. There's even some room to either lean on Nora's army status by making her stickler for the rules, or give her more empathetic traits with choices that matter trademark that affect to some plot progression and endings, and some of the conversations she has with Jay, who is implied to have at some point dated her, can be pretty stellar.
See, it's a good thing you're the one stuck out in the woods overnight. You handle camping way better than I do.
Oh, come on, you only set the tent on fire one time.
The writing has very specific vibe to it, like it's some early 2010 sci-fi flick that was featured in those action movie compilation number 5 DVD box that had that one acclaimed masterpiece that people buy it for, and then 3 never heard of that just happened to feature the same actor. Well, it had Memento, I had to.
As for the other gameplay stuff, well, I'm afraid there's not much to speak of. Some treasure chests require puzzle solving to open them, and these labyrinth and more common block avoidant types aren't anything too bad, mostly because you're allowed to try again. The same can be said for these, where you have to draw lines with no retreading, and at least I would need more time to ponder a solution, so for most of these their content remained inaccessible for the rest of the game. And then there are these hoverbike segments that are so cumbersome to control, especially in narrow forest areas that clearly weren't designed with racing in mind. Almost all the gameplay I've talked about until now were introduced during the first 90 minutes, so no changes to that formula for the rest of the game could make it extremely tedious, but luckily the whole adventure can be completed in less than 6 hours.
There's not much deviation you can make with the structure where in every area there's only one main mission and one optional side mission. The climax, it's passable but anticlimactic. There's not even a boss battle. I feel that Everreach Project Eden would work better as a movie than as a game.
A chunk of its resources has been used on visuals and audio, which, like the graphics, lean on the generic side both in effects and music, but at least they have nice oomph to them. And the writing, while being perhaps a tad corny, is sincere enough that a lot can be forgiven with it. On the gameplay aspects though, the general level of quality is bare minimum, as there's nothing explicitly awful, but there's nothing that remarkable either. I guess it's doable as a quick sci-fi snack, though definitely not on the current full price. It does look like this game was merely a project among authors for the creators, as they have since continued steady work in the industry. Mr. Tarsoli with a better received card role-playing game Cataclysm Shards of the Four, and Miss Clow with such games as Helheim Hassle and Killer Frequency. Added to that, they both are collaborating for an upcoming paranormal first-person shooter Soulslinger Envoy of Death, which at least based on its early access feedback seems to be forming into a better product.
Purely from narrative perspective, Everreach Project Eden is alright, but a video game also has to know how to be a video game. So with a heavy heart I must put it on my bottom 100 list, so it means release for Ark the Lad. Yeah, this early strategy role-playing classic didn't do it for me. Its combat is stiff and presentation-wise is rudimentary, but I've heard that its 2 sequels are vast improvements to it. The 2 sequels after that, not so much. And with that, I've reached a milestone, as there's only 20 mediocre games left in the list to be cleaned out. It has been fun? Question mark?